Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Michael Huggins. I have a couple pieces of information that could change your life because I know why you're broke. And how do I know? I know because I used to be broke. I used to be so broke that I could either have a peanut butter sandwich or a jelly sandwich, but I had to make it last so I couldn't have both. I struggled for many years. I had 2 jobs. I was riding my bike to these jobs, and in fact, these were automotive jobs. So I was working on cars all day, but I was so broke I didn't have my own, and I was embarrassed about that. So I would hide my bike in the bushes and get there early to work just so no one knew I didn't have a car. And I did this for years. It was miserable. And I had to make some big changes. The main change that we're going to spend the time on this video is going from a life of default to a life of design. So my life was by default for so long. My schedule was by default, my earning was by default, my banking was by default. Everything. And then I changed it. Luckily, I met a few incredible real estate investors that showed me how to go from default to design. Now, what does that look like? It looks like something like this. There are 3 main areas that we are fixing. The first area is 1/3 of most people's money is going to go to tax in the default situation. In the default situation, 1/3 of their money will also go to interest at the bank. And then with the remaining third is what they can live their life with, create their lifestyle. That's the default version. Now the design version looks something like this. We can, with effective strategies, get our taxes and our interest rates down to around 10%. This is incredible, leaving 80% to go towards our life and our lifestyle. So this transition, moving from default to design, takes some effort. Takes some knowledge. It takes a new perspective on looking at things, okay? The good news is it doesn't take a lot of time, it doesn't take a lot of money, but it does take a little bit, okay? So moving through this, how do we go from default to design in our banking world, okay? Talking about this piece of the pie right here. We want to address this and fix this. So let's scroll down here and we're going to take a look at designing versus default. Now in the banking world of default, it ends up looking kind of like this. When we earn our money, and most people right now are earning it through W-2, which is the most expensive way to earn a living, okay? When our money hits our bank account, we were told, put it in your checking account. Out of the checking account, then you can pay for your expenses. Right? Your bills and your stuff and your things and your loans and your lifestyle and your movies and fun and stuff and charity and gifts, everything of your expenses, pay out of your checking account. Now, if anything is left over, what do they tell us to do? Put it in the savings account. Okay. Think critically about this move. If we leave our money in our savings account, let's say we built up $10,000 into our savings account. If you're earning a 1% return on your savings account, and then let's say you have an auto loan or any loan, whatever, from the bank at 6%. What is the bank's ROI, return on investment? If they pay you 1% but charge you 6%, what is their return on investment? Mistakenly, people say 5. That is not the right answer. The correct answer is 500%. See, if I bought this pen for $1 and sold it to you for $6, I would get a 500% return on my investment. It's the same thing in the banking world. But here's something to think about. Do you earn a 1% on your savings, or do you earn more like a 0.1 on your savings, which makes it a 5,000% return? Then, because banks have what's called fractionalized lending, they can lend out the money in your savings account to up to 7 different borrowers. So we times that by 7. The bank could easily be getting a 35,000% return on your default way of banking. But again, no one really thinks about it. No one questions it. And so no wonder the banks have the biggest buildings in every city. We got to address this. What does the design look like? What does it look like, and what can we change? Do we have to be rich to design it? No, you just have to know what to do. So the design method would look like this. We bring our money in, hits the checking account, and before we do our expenses, one more move, to a line of credit. Then out of the line of credit, guess what we do? We pay our expenses, those same things we were already paying for, right? Bills and stuff and things and Wi-Fi and phone and laptop and gifts and charity and all that stuff. We were already paying it, but instead of out of the checking, it's out of the line. Okay, then the main difference is that the currency would just stay in the line instead of in the checking account. The savings, all that would be right in there. Now, what is the whole point? This is not very different from the default to the design. Not very different, but what's the point? There's a major, major point to this. Let's say you have a mortgage. This could be an auto loan, a student loan, a construction loan. It could be anything. I'm going to just use a mortgage, for example, to show you the power of this idea, and you'll see how it can change your life. Let's say this mortgage is $300,000 mortgage at 6% interest. So our payment would be $1,800 a month. You plug it into a calculator, $1,800 a month is going to be our mortgage payment, okay? We got to pay this every time. But because of Velocity Banking, a few things are going to happen. Now let me show you. First is, if we wanted to get our $300,000 down to $290,000, just pay off $10,000 of our balance. Did you know if you stay on the bank's payment schedule, it would actually take you 31 payments of $1,800 a month to get down to $290,000. Okay, so that is roughly $55,000 that you paid to the bank, came out of your pocket, 55 grand, and they'd take 10 of it and say, cool, that counted towards your debt. The other 45,000 went towards interest. That's right. Not to mention 2.5 years of your life, 31 months. So what is the whole point of this stuff? What if instead let's set up this scenario. If you're making, let's say, $5,000 a month and your expenses are $4,000 a month. Now some people are going to say, Michael, I don't have that much money. I spend everything I make. Then this strategy won't work for you, and you have something even worse going on, and we got to fix that, and then we come to this, all right? So you would just be one step behind. It's all good. But we need to free up some of that cash. So let's say you're already in this 5,000 in, 4,000 out situation, okay? And you have a line of credit for $10,000. Now again, this is just for example purposes, okay? But what if you took this $10,000 and made a principal-only payment to your mortgage? The same day you got your $300,000 mortgage, you did this principal-only payment, and then you dropped it down to $290,000. Could you do that? Is that allowed? Of course it is. Would you be in any more debt if you did this? You charge up your credit card $10,000. You wouldn't be in any more debt. You'd be $290,000 over here, $10,000 over here, the same $300,000 in debt. But what changes? Let's take a look at this, because quite a few things change. First is, let's look at our credit card. If this is the balance and this is the time, and right now we have used our $10,000 on our credit card. Our balance is now all the way up. By design, if you simply follow this, and of course I'm leaving out some details because I just want to show you what's possible, okay? If we took the 5,000 in and the 4,000 out, what would happen is this 5,000 or this 10,000 would be down here to 5,000. By the end of the month, we've paid for all these expenses right here. We paid for them. It's 4,000. So by the end of that month, we're at $9,000, and there's 1 month of our life has gone by. We still paid for everything. We still paid for the groceries and the taxes. We still paid for all of it, just fine. But instead of from the checking, we're now using the line. Now, what is the whole point of this, right? If we just stick with the program and the next 5,000 comes in and 4,000 goes out, by that month, you'll be at 8,000. And then next month, 5 in, 4 out, you'll be at 7,000. Do you see what's going on? And so if we just follow this trend, in 10 months from this scenario, we'd have the balance of our credit card paid off. This is incredible stuff. Now, some people are going to say, well, Michael, what about the interest rate on the credit card? What about the interest rate on the line of credit? In this strategy, the credit card interest rate actually doesn't matter. And you'll see why in some of our subsequent trainings, exactly how we break that down. But I know some of you are thinking that, and technically, even at a 29% interest rate line of credit, this would still be faster than your mortgage. So take a look at this. We still had to make 10 payments. We still had to pay that $1,800 on our mortgage, right? So we still made 10 more payments of $1,800. That equals $18,000 came out of your pocket. And guess what counted towards your mortgage? Only $3,000 of it. So now we're at $287. Okay? Now we've replenished our $10,000 so we could actually use it again, send another $10,000 over to the mortgage, and push it down to $277. Now, if we do that, that would be the equivalent of being at month 61 on your mortgage schedule. But really, what went by on your life was only 10 months. 10 months on the calendar to be 61 months into a 30-year mortgage. So we call this the chunking method, where you would just chunk and chunk and chunk and chunk and chunk. And before you know it, you got this thing paid down to zero and you have it paid off. This is incredible. You're going to save time. You're going to save money, and you're also going to be positioned financially better than if you were to just use that extra $1,000 a month and throw it at your mortgage. It would be gone. But here, we still have a cushion. We are still building up our credit score. We're still saving for emergencies and building up that nest egg. And we're paying down our debts at an accelerated rate. Instead of staying in this 30-year mortgage at $300,000, this could easily be 5 to 10 years. All right, guys, so thanks for listening. Again, you can see how if you start to apply this stuff, you could go from default to design and really control your life, and no more mystery about why you're broke, but you're working so hard. We can fix this stuff. If you like what we covered today, or you like my story, then just enter your email in the link below, and we're going to send you a 90-minute training on this topic, plus a few more things. So by the end of that video, you'll be so much smarter. You'll know more than your banker does about banking. It's going to be incredible. So you'll definitely want that video. We're going to also cover how I did my first deal. Did you guys know I made more money on my first deal than my job paid me all year? How do we do this stuff? Get connected with us. Either we'll email you the link to that video or an invitation to one of our local events where you'll be able to connect with other investors, work with them, move your deals forward. Who knows what could happen for you? But at the end of the day, you got to take that action. So put your email in there and we'll get you the content you're looking for.